Good morning, David Atkins, target individual. Um, I'm going to get through this video pretty quick today, and I'm going to explain how some stuff about how they hit you wirelessly and how they hit you from far away, and EEG heterodyning. And they're hitting me now in the legs, and that's why I really want to get this video. I try to get this video done when they're going easy on me for a minute, and now that I've said that, they're starting to go pretty hard on me. Um, Anyway, so I'm gonna get this over with, and so I took some notes this morning. I have this little sermon book, um, and before I get into the information, which I'm pulling up right now, I just want to read real quick out of my verse today is going to be Romans, and they hit you. If I was to describe what's happening right now, you would think I'm crazy unless you're a target individual to my body right now. So. And that's the whole point of this, is to discredit us. They want us to go into public and talk about it to people that's non-targets. Or, I got this shirt right here that says that. There's not all this information. You don't have thousands of people running around saying the same thing's happening. What is that? Oh, they're going to go in the DSM or whatever that book's called, and, the diagnosis ain't going to be schizophrenia no more. It's going to be targeted individual. Are you telling me millions of people are going around saying the same thing is happening to them, and that's a mental diagnosis? They're mental. The same thing's happening to them, different ways, but the same thing. No, that's not a mental state, folks. If you're a non-target, that's who I'm talking to right now. This is really happening, and we need help. And for me, God's the only help right now. So anyway, I'm sorry to bore y'all or whatever, but man, I had to get that out there, man. I mean, you say a target individual mental, but you see, if you've done any research at all, because contempt prior to investigation is pure ignorance. But listen, if you do any research at all, then you'll see there's more than me saying this stuff's happening to them. There's thousands. So it seems like you're crazy for not believing the truth when it's right in front of your face. So anyway, getting started. Okay. Oh yeah. In Romans 12:2, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Okay, I read that and I came up with this because I write stuff in this book, a book I got. Okay, I said, he says, don't be conformed, but be transformed. There's only two things you can do with your mind: be conformed or transformed. Think about David on the battlefield against Goliath. Nobody else would fight him. It wasn't the way he fought; it was the way he thought. They had already given him. They had already tried to give him armor. He said, "Oh," and he said, "No." He said, "That ain't been tested, and this ain't been proved. I can't work with this." But he spent days and nights meditating on the scripture. And the first thing he said to Goliath was, "You uncircumcised Philistine." Well, you know what he was saying, don't you? What he was saying was, "I got a covenant with God. God's going to see me through this." Because you got to just read deep, and most of my believers will know what he was saying. He said, that's the first thing he said to Goliath, the giant, "You uncircumcised Philistine." He was talking in faith, saying, "I got a covenant with God. You don't. God's got me here." And David was a little shepherd boy. Okay, here we go. CIA, DOD contractors, cognitive research, psychiatrists, psychologists, neuroscientists, behavioral scientists, etc. Trauma-based mind control involves EEG heterodyning. EEG cloning uses strategic deception and mental manipulation to create errors of judgment, reasoning, and vocabulary confusion by every means possible. However, they also target the autonomous system of their victims' anatomy, such as the motor cortex, visual cortex, and sensory cortex, etc. CIA/DOD DIA EEG cloning experiments are used to create demented mind models which create the worst mentally deranged psychopathology that the DOD CIA monsters can come up with to destroy their victims and other innocent people for training, research, and development. This is why sexual manipulation, sexual programs are so crucial to their technology also. EEG cloning is most effective on the subjects that are sensory deprived, which is why they constantly use sleep deprivation on or force people into drowsy theta state with each attack, or force their victims into isolation, such as altering the sleep cycles, forcing their victim to stay up all night and sleep all day, etc. These hive mind teams, scientists who are contractors, are able to read and manipulate brain waves and default central nervous system by illuminating brain and its electrical conductance and then reading the return signal. Their imaging methods observes the changes of frequency, the resonances, amplitude, and phases of victims' brainwave pattern, which represent the states of neuron depolarization throughout the brain. They are able to influence victims' brainwaves by using precisely timed electromagnetic low-frequency waves, photons, specifically tuned to the victim's brainwave signature, which emits a return training signal for injection feedback. A large test pool of mind control victims is necessary, as many human minds are needed to create the database of specific brain data necessary to increase the effectiveness on a larger scale and larger population. This technology is being scaled to cover an entire population, and 350 million Americans are now infected with nanotechnology, which they've been spraying into the hydrosphere for decades. They're using catalog and cloning operations to achieve their training, researches, and development of mind control technologies. Cloning does not refer to human cloning, but EEG cloning the victim's brainwave patterns. I'm sorry. I got to put this on my head a minute, so don't think I'm retarded or nothing, but gosh. They're burning me up reading this. Okay, they're using catalog and cloning operations to achieve their training, research, and development of mind control technologies. Cloning does not refer to human cloning, but EEG cloning of the victim's brainwave patterns. It's an arms race, as every country in the world feels the need to have this neuroweapon, which requires torturing and killing many people in their own populations to develop. EEG cloning means to copy someone else's brainwaves onto another person. The technology is so advanced it can be done by wirelessly. It can be done by these contractors wirelessly from great distances anywhere in the world. A new military division has now emerged called the Psychic Warfare Unit to influence the brainwaves of targets just as easily as reading them. So at the other extreme, the contractor psychic warrior, cognitive researcher, can EEG clone his brainwaves onto the victim. The correct terminology to describe their mind control technology is EEG heterodyning. Heterodyning is an engineering term which means to mix signals. So EEG cloning is just a special case of EEG heterodyning, meaning mixing of the brainwave signals between the psychic warrior and mind control victim. EEG hive mind teams are collectives of people, scientists, doctors, etc., who share one common set of brainwaves. They can communicate with each other via synthetic telepathy, remote viewing, etc. They are engaged in training, research, and development of collected mind configurations and how to use it to control, spy through, disable, or kill a target individual. I'm going to stop right there in case you're wondering what I'm doing with this towel. I figured I might get hit, so I took it out of the freezer. I keep a cold towel in the freezer frozen, and man, it feels so good when you're getting hit in the head and getting burnt. It just feels so good because all that's like a cooler around your head. It's better when it's frozen than to put it wet. I started out using it wet, and I'm like, hold on, if I freeze it, it'll help even more. You might want to keep, I keep 2 of them in there because, they heat up fast when your head's heating up, and you might get another one, and when you get another one, you put that one back in there. And so forth, so forth. It's called psychophysics, and the challenge is to map exactly the subjective experiences of the victim. Consciousness, will, intellect, and emotion by subjecting the victim to brutal torture and harassment, to the physics of organic intelligences for informational signal processing, including both biochemical and electromagnetic. I'm going to read that again. They can communicate with each other via synthetic telepathy, remote viewing, etc. They're engaged in training, research, and development of collected mind configurations and how to use it to control, spy through, disable, or kill a targeted individual. It's called psychophysics, and the challenge is to map exactly the subjective experiences of the victim's conscious, will, intellect, and emotion by subjecting the victims to brutal torture and harassment, to the physics of organic intelligence, and for informational signal processing, including both biochemical and electromagnetic. The tools of this criminal psychophysics hive mind teams are called psychotronics. Mind control weapons are the holy grail of all weapon systems and has given birth to the world's most notorious psychopathic scientists, which in turn spawned a generation of the most intense human suffering for weapons testing efficacy the people of this planet have ever endured. The technology is too unbelievable for most to comprehend, and the brutality of their torture and harassment and so many citizens harassment on so many citizens. Sorry, they're making my brain fog. All right, technology is too unbelievable for most to comprehend, and the brutality of their torture and harassment on so many citizens is enough for the majority of the people to be skeptical and tune out. Indeed, tortured attacks on mind control victims is designed to be brutal, precisely so no one will believe the atrocities are occurring. They're using physical and psychological trauma to map out the sensory and neural pathways of the victim's brain and central nervous system. And that's why sometimes, you'll try shielding and it might work for a minute and sometimes it won't. They're in your central nervous system. They can wirelessly communicate with it and target any part of your body. They can change the frequency. That Mylar's blankets I put together yesterday. I don't know if I said this, I'm cloudy. I can't remember if I said this at the beginning of the video or not. Yeah, they're getting my whole body right now. Anyway, so I put 4 blankets together and I taped them everywhere. I mean, I put a massive amount of tape because I got tired of getting in bed or laying down with them and then they falling off. So I put them all together and taped them that way they couldn't do that. Sometimes it works fine. Sometimes it makes it worse. And sometimes it don't work at all. A lot of times it don't work at all because they change frequencies. A lot of times it don't work at all. And that's how you're going to find with any shielding. Also, when that laser hit my garage, and I got a video on it at like 4 in the morning a few months ago. I'm going to make it through this video. Okay, when the laser hit my garage, and I don't know if it was the laser that caused that. It might have been psyops because they want responses. But anyway, my head was burning so bad. I'm sorry for the interruption. That was a text message. Okay, my head was burning so bad that I went and got some heavy duty aluminum foil and I put it in a ball cap and put it on my head. Well, listen what happened. I started getting burnt worse, and I researched it. And I'm going to put that document up or read it soon. I might do a short video and read it. Aluminum foil, the way I understand it, will work, but most of it has holes in it. So what was happening was when I put that hat on and put the aluminum foil and I molded it into the hat, put it over my head, there was holes in it. So what was happening is the waves were getting in there, the direct energy weapons, the frequencies were getting the do weapon was getting in there, and it was bouncing off the aluminum foil, making it 10 times worse because it was getting in the hole. It had nowhere to release. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and I found later on, I found a article about it, how aluminum foil has holes in it, and how the tin foil does work sometimes, but you can't have no holes in it, and most tin foil has holes in it, so little bitty holes. So anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all have a good weekend. I know y'all probably tired of hearing me ramble. But yeah, like I said, if a shielding works for you once, and they could play nano tricks too. Robert Duckett talks about that. Okay, I'm not going to let him stop this. Okay, sometimes Robert Duncan said what they'll do is they'll know you put shielding on. They know everything you do, that you'll be putting your shielding on. They'll stop hitting you, make you think it's working. Then you go tell your friends it works. Then they'll think you're a perp because you told them something that didn't work. So yeah, this thing is very tricky, and they're really doing divide and conquer in this community right now. I mean, division's the powerful thing, and the level of paranoia and mistrust that the gang stalking all this causes us targets. It's hard for us to come together. So I don't know. I never give up faith, but I'm involved in a group, and I'm hoping it comes together. It's having a lot of problems right now. Every time we go to a Zoom call, the Zoom gets hacked, cut off. So there's some things being done in the community, but we're in serious trouble if we don't do nothing. And My only question about the lawsuit is how you going to get a judge who works for the program to rule against the program? How are you going to get that? They're not going to settle out of court and give you a settlement because that's admitting guilt. That's admitting this program is going on. And they can't have that because the end game of this program is to have everybody under control, the whole world. So anyway, what I'm saying is, I hope like hell these lawsuits work. Pardon my language. I hope they defeat this program and take them down. You know, but I can just imagine a judge fixing a rule, or a judge. I mean, a judge. They see the judge is fixing to go against the program and rule against them and give us target individuals money. So then they go threaten them. We'll ruin your life. We'll ruin your home. So you're going to have a judge that's got the faith, got the guy of Martin Luther King Jr. or somebody like that, and stand up no matter if they get dead or not and end this program. Anyway, I'm rambling on. But God bless y'all. I'm going to do a live video shortly. I don't know, but I'll plan it in the head, and I'll definitely be answering any questions. And I would also like to interact with y'all too and ask y'all questions, Anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a good day.